The scent of my mother's pot roast used to be the smell of comfort, of home. But that Sunday, it smelled like a lie. I stood in the doorway of the dining room, my body aching from a double shift at the hospital, and watched a scene that had played out 100 times before. My family was gathered around the table, but the spotlight was fixed, as always, on my younger sister, Rachel. And the client said it was the most innovative campaign he'd seen in a decade, Rachel was saying, gesturing with her fork. Her new diamond engagement ring, a solitaire so large it looked like it required its own support system, flashed under the chandelier. My father, Robert, beamed as if she'd just announced she'd brokered world peace. Incredible, sweetheart. I always said you had a gift, a real creative mind. He said this while looking directly at me, a silent comparison hanging in the air between us. I was Alexandra, Alex for short, 29 years old, a registered nurse in the Cardiothoracic ICU. While Rachel crafted slogans for sneakers, I was holding a human heart in my hands during open heart surgeries, monitoring the delicate dance of life on a bank of screens. But in this house, I was just the practical one, the reliable one, the invisible one. I slid into my usual seat, the one that faced the wall. My scrubs felt grimy against the crisp linen tablecloth. "Long shift, Alex?" my mother asked, her tone polite but distant. She didn't wait for an answer. "Pass the potatoes to your sister. She's had a big week." I pushed the silver bowl toward Rachel. "Actually, I had a pretty big day too," I started, my voice softer than I intended. "We had a patient, a young father, who coded on the table. The surgical team worked for hours. We got him back. His wife hugged me and cried. She said we'd given them a future." There was a beat of silence, the kind of silence that's heavier than any noise. "That's intense, honey," my mother said, not unkindly, but with a profound lack of comprehension. She quickly turned back to Rachel. "Now, tell us more about this client dinner. Was it at that new French place?" My father chuckled. "Well, Alex's job is certainly stable. You'll always have a job, that's for sure. But Rachel here," he said, nodding at her with pride, "is our star." The words were a familiar sting. But then my mother decided to twist the knife. She looked across the table at me, and her expression wasn't just dismissive, it was pitying. "Alexandra, you have to understand. Rachel has ambition. She has a vision for her life. You just work. You'll never be as driven or as successful as your sister." The room went quiet. The only sound was the ticking of the antique clock on the mantel. Tick, tock. You'll never be as good. Tick, tock. You just work. Rachel didn't say a word. She just took a delicate sip of her Pinot wine, a faint, smug smile playing on her lips. And in that moment, something inside me, something that had been bending for years, finally snapped. I had been transferring $3,200 to my parents' account every single month for the past 18 months, ever since my dad's consulting business had hit a rough patch. 18 months of my sweat, my overtime, my exhaustion, funding this very dinner, this very house, while they told me I lacked ambition. If you've ever been made to feel like you're not enough by the very people who are living off your strength, then you need to hear what happened next. Subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because the moment I decided to show them exactly what success looks like was the moment I got my life back. The betrayal didn't stop there. It was the gift that kept on giving. A month later, I was scrolling through Facebook on a rare day off when I saw the album, Hawaiian Paradise. There they were, my parents, Rachel, and her fiancé, Mark, beaming on a white sand beach. My mother was wearing a straw hat I'd never seen before. My father was holding a cocktail. It was a full-blown, week-long vacation at a 5-star resort. My heart hammered against my ribs. I called my mother, my voice trembling with a confusion that was quickly curdling into rage. "Oh, Alex, it was a last-minute thing. We knew you couldn't get the time off. You're always so busy at the hospital." "I didn't ask," I whispered, the words catching in my throat. "You didn't even tell me." "Well, Rachel needed a break after her promotion. You understand, don't you? It's important for her career momentum." I hung up and stared at the photos until my vision blurred. I saw them at a luau, my mother's arm draped around Rachel. I saw them toasting with champagne at a sunset cruise. A family portrait, and I was the only one not in the frame. The public humiliation came at Rachel's engagement party. My parents rented a ballroom at a country club I couldn't afford to join. I arrived alone in a simple black dress I'd owned for years, feeling like a ghost among the glittering crowd. My mother took the microphone. "We are just so incredibly proud of our Rachel. She's always been destined for greatness. Some people just have that spark, that special something that sets them apart." A family friend, Mrs. Donnelly, turned to me. "And Alex, dear? Still at the hospital? It's so noble, that kind of work." Before I could answer, my father clapped me on the back, a little too hard. "Oh, Alex is our rock. Very, very steady. But Rachel here," he said, nodding at her with pride, "is our star." I felt every pair of eyes in the room on me. I was the sturdy, dependable cactus in the shadow of their rare orchid. That night I went home and sobbed until I was hollowed out. But the final, most profound betrayal was still to come. I was at my parents' house a week later, helping my mother sort through a pile of paperwork for what she called a refinance, when I found it. Tucked between old tax returns was a statement from a loan servicer. It was for Rachel's private college loans. The balance was 0, paid in full. My hands shook as I dug deeper. I found more statements, more proof. My parents hadn't just paid for her vacation, they had paid off her entire student debt. With a sickening lurch, I realized the money had come out of the same account my $3,200 monthly payments went into. The account I was told was for the mortgage. I confronted my mother the next day, the papers clutched in my fist. "You used my money, the money I gave you to keep a roof over your heads. You used it to clear Rachel's debt." My mother didn't even flinch. "Alexandra, don't be dramatic. Rachel's success lifts us all up. She can't start her marriage burdened by debt. You're strong. You can handle your responsibilities. Family supports family." "I've been working 80-hour weeks to pay off my own student loans," I cried, my voice breaking. "I eat peanut butter sandwiches for dinner. I haven't bought new clothes in 2 years. And you've been bankrolling her life with my money?" "Don't be selfish," she said coldly. "It's unattractive." That was the moment the last thread of hope snapped. But I am a nurse. I am methodical, I am meticulous, and I had been keeping records. Every bank transfer, every deposit, every screenshot of a text message begging for money for a leaky roof or a surprise property tax. I had it all. The final straw was the phone call about Rachel's wedding. "The caterer needs a deposit," my mother said casually. "We were thinking you could cover it. It's only $10,000. You have savings, and Rachel needs to focus on her dress and the honeymoon." I said I'd think about it. Then I went to my computer, logged into my bank's online portal, and canceled the automatic transfer, the one marked family support. The fallout was immediate and volcanic. My phone started ringing before the next business day was over. "Alex, the payment bounced!" my mother shrieked. "The bank called. What is going on?" My father was on the other line, his voice a low, threatening growl. "This is irresponsible, young lady. We depend on you." Even Rachel called, her voice laced with a panic I'd never heard before. "Alex, is everything okay? Mom's freaking out about money." I remained calm. "I think we need to have a family meeting, a proper discussion about finances. Let's have dinner this Sunday." I arrived at the house with a simple black accordion folder. The table was set with the good china again, but the atmosphere was tense. My father started in before the salad was served. "This childish stunt needs to end, Alexandra. We are your family. You have an obligation." "An obligation to what?" I asked quietly. "To fund a life for Rachel that I'm not allowed to participate in?" My mother gave me that look, the one that had always made me feel small. "We've been through this. You'll never be as successful as your sister. The least you can do is help her achieve her dreams." I placed my napkin on the table. I stood up. The room went silent. "You're right, Mom," I said, my voice clear and steady, echoing in the quiet room. "I'll never be as successful as Rachel because I've been too busy being successful enough to pay for all of you." I opened the folder. I didn't throw the papers. I placed them one by one in the center of the table like a prosecutor presenting evidence. Exhibit A, 18 months of bank transfers, $3,200 a month, total $57,600. I laid down another sheet. Exhibit B, Rachel's student loan payoff, sourced from the account I funded, $52,000. Another. Exhibit C, credit card statements showing payments for Rachel's Hawaii trip, $8,400. Exhibit D, the down payment on Rachel's BMW, $6,000. Rachel's face was a mask of horror. My car? My loans? You paid those?" "No, Rachel," I said, looking directly at her. "I did, with the money I earned holding people's lives together while you were in brainstorming meetings." My father was frantically scanning the documents, his face turning a blotchy red. "This is a violation of privacy." "No, Dad," I countered. "The violation was you taking my money and using it to tell me I wasn't good enough." I turned back to my shock-shelled sister. "My salary is $94,000 a year, Rachel. What's yours? 50? 55? You've been living a life financed by the sister you thought was beneath you." The silence in the room was absolute. The pot roast sat congealing on its platter. The facade of the perfect family had crumbled to dust, and all that was left was the ugly truth of their financial dependence and my silent exploitation. "The payments stop now," I said, gathering my folder. "You can all figure it out. I'm sure Rachel's ambition will cover the mortgage." I walked out and never went back. I moved across the country and took a job as a nurse anesthesia. My starting salary was $198,000. The hospital treated me with the respect my own family never could. I bought a small condo with an ocean view. I travel. I sleep through the night. I heard through the grapevine that my parents had to sell the house. Rachel's wedding was scaled down to a backyard affair. They call sometimes, leaving messages filled with guilt and manufactured concern. I delete them without listening. They lost a daughter that day, but I found myself, and I learned that the most powerful revenge is not anger or confrontation. It's a life lived joyfully and freely beyond the shadow of their toxic expectations. My success was never for them. It was always for me. If you've ever had your light dimmed by those who should have been cheering the loudest, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Your story isn't over. Share your experience in the comments, and if you want more stories about turning betrayal into unshakable strength, make sure you subscribe. Your worth is not up for debate.